It sounds like you guys are blaming Putin for the increase in gas prices recently, but weren't gas prices going up anyway because of post-pandemic supply chain issues?
Well, I think there's no question that, as we have seen, and outside analysts have conveyed this as well, the increase in the anticipated continued increase, which is, I think, what some of your colleagues were asking about, that is a direct result of the invasion of Ukraine, and also there was an anticipation of that was factored in as gas prices have gone up.
White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki has been probed over record high prices of gas, what measures the government will take to combat them, and how the country will deal in the event the Biden administration chooses to halt oil imports from Russia. Oil prices have reached its highest level since 2008, when they hit a national average of $4 a gallon, and in some states, like California, the average is over $5 a gallon. Americans are crying out for help as inflation hits a 40-year high, and with tensions escalating between Russia and Ukraine, the price of oil is likely to get worse. And while the war between Russia and Ukraine has caused the prices to increase, gas prices were already surging in America before as a result of an increase in demand once coronavirus restrictions had lifted.
I want to read to you, if I could, Jen, some comments from people we've met at gas stations today. One woman saying, "I just never imagined to see the cost of gas be this high." Another said, "It's a huge stressor to my financial situation, a huge stressor. It's kind of like something I've stressed about, like during the day, will I be able to afford gas? How much money do I have?" What is the White House, what is the President's message to Americans who are going to the gas station today and seeing prices so high?
Well, the President's message is that he is going to do everything he can, to reduce the impact on the American people, including the price of gas at the tank. What is also true is that because of the actions of President Putin, because he invaded a sovereign country, that created instability in the markets. That is something the President talked about even before Russia and President Putin moved forward with their actions. But we have already taken steps. The President has already taken steps. Historic release from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, one that's done in a coordinated fashion. And clearly we will continue to have conversations with large oil producers and suppliers around the world about how to mitigate the impact and consider domestic options as well.
There has been bipartisan support for the federal government to stop importing oil from Russia. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said on Sunday the White House had coordinated with key congressional committees moving forward with their own ban. The US is one of the largest crude oil producers and doesn't depend on Russian oil like Europe does. Last year, around 3.5% of the US's crude oil came from Russia. However, that number has been increasing over the last few years. Most of the US's imported oil comes from Canada, Mexico and Saudi Arabia, and Texas produces the most oil domestically. Jen Psaki was probed on if the Biden administration will give in to the pressure of stopping oil imports from Russia as retaliation for the country's decision to invade Ukraine.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi has suggested that Russian oil imports should be banned. We're already seeing that Russia is struggling to sell some of its oil, which suggests that supplies are destabilized. Given that fact, would President Biden sign a ban, and what would hold him back from doing so if not?
Well, no decision has been made at this point by the president about a ban on importing oil from Russia, and those discussions are ongoing internally and also with our counterparts and partners in Europe and around the world.
Axios reported that Biden's advisors could be heading to Saudi Arabia to convince officials to pump more oil. Senior political analyst Brit Hume tweeted the news and said, "Oh great, let's continue to restrict our own oil production and then go to Saudi Arabia to beg them to produce more." Ted Cruz responded, "Insanity." Last week, the Texas senator introduced the Energy Freedom Act, which is a bill to make America energy dependent by accelerating federal permitting for energy projects and pipelines, mandating new onshore and offshore oil and gas lease sales, approving pending LNG export licenses, and generally speeding up solar, wind and geothermal development. Yesterday, even Elon Musk called for more domestic production. Rapid Response Director Tommy Pigott wrote, "The best way to reduce dependence on foreign oil is to buy American."
The best thing we can do is reduce our dependence on fossil fuels and foreign oil because that will help us have a reliable source of energy so that we're not worried about gas prices going up because of the whims of a foreign dictator.
Right, and you guys think that asking Saudi Arabia or Venezuela or Iran is reducing our dependence on foreign oil?
That's actually, I just outlined each of those specific scenarios and the range of discussions that we're having with each of those countries. I don't think anybody is advocating for Iran to continue acquiring a nuclear weapon, perhaps except for the former president who pulled us out of the deal.